So I had a great former student question come in. Hi, Nate. And I think it's a common problem. It doesn't just happen in coaching. But so he said, seeing clients with great results, and then there's a couple of clients that just don't call back for a second session. So let me translate that over. We do that in a lot of different contexts. We're engaging with someone, and then that other person kind of stops engaging with us, doesn't call back, or doesn't call to hang out with us. This could be a friend, a family member, a client, And so here's the thing, is that what we're in essence doing in NLP, we call that mind reading. We assume to know what somebody else is thinking, feeling, and believing, but we truly don't have any evidence. So the meta model question is, how do you know that that's true? That when a client doesn't book a second session, how do you know that it's true that they did it because there were no results in the session or because they didn't like the session? Did they tell you that? What specifically is it that they told you? You could say, well, did I follow up with this person and asked, hey, noticed that you didn't book your second session? Just wanted to know if I can assist you with something, and can you tell me what's going on, if I should expect you, should I still keep you on my roster? Or, you could sort of investigate that, not be afraid of that, right? And so you could go, well, what am I thinking, feeling, and believing? What's the reality testing on that, right? And we're already conditioned as children to do this, right? Biologically, we're wired to, and here's why. So let me just hang it on an example to make it easier. A child goes to school, has a test, there's 10 questions, got 9 questions right, 1 wrong, okay? And even small children go home and talk about that one question that they got wrong. Often our teachers and our parents make that even worse. They focus on that one wrong one. For our ancestors to focus on that one wrong was a good idea. Let's say there are 9 great weather days where everything is happy and sunny and there's plenty of food and everything is okay. All the family members are safe. But on that 10th day, there is an avalanche, or our food supply gets wiped out, so there could be famine. Then there's a problem. So our brains are wired to sort of notice that danger. But right now, when you think about the friend that's not calling you back to hang out for a while, or the person that doesn't recall you, return your call, or you had a job interview and the time that it takes for people to come back at you, you seem to know what everybody's thinking, feeling, and believing, And so you need to test that. And in NLP, we teach the meta model. And one of the meta model questions to ask is, how do I know that's true? And that's tied to when we're mind reading, to assume to know what somebody else is thinking, feeling, or believing. Okay? So you need to sort of go over that coaching session and going, well, what is it that I really know? I would do that from an observer position. In NLP, we call that the third perceptual position, where you study yourself in a movie with a client as a scientist. You see yourself and the other person. Was there any evidence that the client, let's say, especially in the last 5 minutes, that the client walked out unhappy? What is it that you can learn about this session that's very valuable, without judgment of yourself, without, blaming, to have self-compassion? Compassion for the other person is what can you truly learn from a non-emotional point of view about the meeting or the session, right? You could go step into the second perceptual position, which is floating your mind in the shoes of the other person, and then look at it from the session from that point of view. What specifically did the client say? So you need to sort of ask yourself, who, what, how specifically, how do I know that's true? And here's the thing though, the reality testing of it. What if the second session has nothing to do with the first session? It has nothing to do with you. Look, people are busy. People run out of money. People go on vacation. Some people are like, oh, and I'm going to see a coach, and I'm going to see a therapist, and I'm going to see an acupuncturist, and they're all over the place. Maybe they never even plan to have a second session. You know, people get distracted all the time. And so the not booking of the coaching session or the friend not calling you to hang out may mean that you have done nothing wrong. They're just caught up in their own life. And even in the event that I didn't like the session, you could go, well, what do I learn from that? The question that I'd like to ask you, Nate, is, since you're such a great mind reader, is to kind of go, did you reach out to the client and say, hey, what specifically did you think about the session? Did you ask that at one point? You know? Because don't be afraid to test your work. Don't be afraid to ask. You know, I don't hit it every session either. And so that's a learning process. And there's no one to blame here, not you, not the other person. It's a learning process. And especially as a new coach, you find yourself more frequently in situations where things are not as flowing and in mastery as some other people that you've seen do things like that. So that's how I would sort of like deal with these types of problems when you assume that you should mind read someone, and as a result of that, looking negatively at yourself. One more thing on the way out. What is a good balance of positive and negative emotions? Well, scientists have found out that 80% of our emotions in a normal circumstance, 80% of our emotions are to be positive, and 20% are negative. Then you're sort of like in a good sweet spot, you know? And the negative emotions need to compare it with an action. And that action isn't rumination and negative thinking and negative self-talk. It's about gathering information or becoming better, finding solutions. So that's it. Hope I answered your question, Nate. Bye.